On this episode, we talk about some of the most memorable moments of 2019 at Merschman Seeds. 2019 was a tough and challenging year, but there are always positives that can be pointed out. Hear what made the list and what predictions Joe, Tommy, Turk, and Ben make for 2020.
Hi, this is Joe Merschman, and welcome to Cup of Joe, episode number 22, season 2. Today we have our regulars, Tommy, Turk, and Ben. And this show, as we wrap up 2019, we're going to talk about the most memorable moments at Merschman Seeds. And then we're going to go out on a limb and talk about what we think is going to happen in 2020. So let's start with Ben.
Well, one of the positive things that I wanted to talk about would be the upgrades of our facility that we made for going from a great product to even better product.
Well, actually, we did both plants, West Point and Olmsted. So Olmsted's a completely new plant, and West Point, of course, did the upgrades to the treating system, drying belt, and the bagging system.
Right. So essentially, we're running with two brand new plants, and we have the ability to see every bean that rolls across. We have the ability to see every bean that is going to be in the bag that goes in the seed. So there's just flawless looking beans. Let
me explain that. In the past, everything came out of our treater and went directly into the bagging bins. And that process is a good process, nothing wrong with it. But now our process is it goes through the treater, and then it's on the ground floor now instead of being upstairs, and then through the drying belt. So everything is dried before it touches anything. So therefore, seed treatment stays on the seed, should give us better quality in the efficacy as far as the seed treatments, and then we don't have any buildups or any problems with bits and pieces falling off where they're not supposed to. So in general, we can literally watch our quality 24/7.
Bag by bag.
Bag by bag. So it's where you put it into a bin that's 14, 15 feet deep, you can't really see it on the spot necessarily. So that's a great improvement and a big plus for our customers this year. They will see it in the bag this year.
I think one of the most memorable moments has to be the approval of Enlist soybeans.
Absolutely.
That we got in January. So that was a big day for the Merschman Seeds company, and we couldn't be happier about that, and we're doing great things with Enlist soybeans.
Yeah, and the genetics are very, very good. I was just looking through the Iowa State cyst nematode trials, and looking at the highest yields across all the locations. We actually had a second and a fourth, and it was Kennedy's and Monroe's. So, and you just featured Kennedy last week as a dual, all-purpose, fit anything, go anywhere type soybean. So that was the second highest yield in that cyst nematode trial. So,
I'm going to piggyback a little bit off for one of mine from what Turk was saying with the Enlist approval. Ever since Enlist got approved in January, it's always kind of been an uphill battle because it wasn't the maybe preferred trait on the market at the time. But one of my best memories or favorite moments for 2019 was seeing a little bit of that reap of that harvest of those Enlist E3s and the LGT 27s coming by, because the yield drag that was supposedly there was definitely not showing. It was as good or better than any other trait platform out there. So that was very nice for me because, again, the truth came at harvest when those beans were picked. So.
Yeah, there's no question about it, Tom. You can't fool a farmer today. They have yield monitors. They actually control the data. In the past, seed companies control the data, but now the farmers control the data. So, you cannot be a pretender and be a contender.
Right.
You've got to have a good quality product, and farmers know the good quality products. They know the ones that yield. They know the ones that don't. So, the ag talk in different areas all lit up when they start harvesting these traits and saying, this is not what we're seeing. We're not seeing yield drag.
Well, and then also look at the from the competition side of the market. These prices have been drove down a little bit, and that's just helped the American farmer. And it's the same thing as Sultro for sudden death and soybean cyst nematode protection versus Alivo.
Yeah, so that was
just competition that drives the market down.
Sultro's another big positive registration that came that farmers going to benefit next spring, and as we work more and more with Sultro, we understand a little bit more of the differences between Sultro and Alivo, the big thing that was pointed out to us, that Levo was developed as a pneumaticide that also had good activity against sudden death, where Sultro was developed as a sudden death product that has good activity on nematodes. So they're just polar opposites. So we were really focused on the sudden death piece of it, and Sultro probably is going to turn out to be the best product on sudden death. And then the fact it doesn't have the halo effect or the phytotoxicity. I always mix that word up, don't I? You're not seeing any injury coming out of the ground, so that's a positive for Sultro. So that was a big game changer, I think, for this year.
Another one that I had was the decision that we made to go to 0% financing to help our customers with their cash flow and keep their costs down on their seed. So was a big day too to make when we made that announcement.
And you can still take advantage of it. It's till January 15th. You can order your seed, get the cash discount, put it on John Deere finance, and get it and pay next December, and it costs nothing extra. So that is if you need that tool, it's in your toolbox.
Yep.
So that's a very positive thing.
And also off of that, Turk, a little bit, that still sticks out to me about us deciding to do 0% John Deere Financial was us deciding to make it same as cash, and Joe Merschman taking the finance waiver and taking care of it himself and helping the American farmer even more. I mean, I think that's not talked about enough, and that's a pretty special thing, and I think farmers really appreciate it, Joe.
Well, we know right now prices are been moving up, but there's still a ways to go to where a farmer feels comfortable. And definitely the margin crunch is on the farm. Not to mention the high levels of stress with the harvest and planting this year. But those are things we don't want to remember. But there's some other things we've done this year too. Anything else?
I got married.
You got married?
July 27th. I got to point that out so I won't get in trouble.
That's
Ben got engaged.
Ben got engaged. So it's Turk and I are working on 41 years, and Turk, what are you working on?
My next one will be 50.
50. So come back and see us in a little while.
All right. I've done it twice.
I was doing quick math, but we added 2 new semis as well.
Oh, yeah,
with
absolutely.
More trailers and stuff. So as the time crunch is going to be and as sales increase, we're going to be able to get those
deliveries
out quicker. So that's going to be a big.
That'd be important
difference.
in spring when we need additional product to be shipped, and then all through the winter.
I think the main takeaway for 2019, to be as negative as it possibly could be for some people, it has been very positive for us to add and do the things that we've done to make our company more efficient to help the American farmer. And with that saying so, I think we've come across a lot of things that we've done just to kind of put our best foot forward and show that we're trying to prove it.
Yeah, and we did add some additional salespeople in areas, basically either in a couple new areas, plus we've also added some folks in areas to make the areas smaller so that we get better service to our customers. Because we know, in farming, you're always going to have some kind of problem. And one of the things that Merschman Seeds, I always tell everybody, I said, if we sell one bag and we have a problem with it, we're going to send our salesman out to look at that one bag, that 1 acre of soybeans. And if you're not getting that kind of service from your existing seed supplier, give us a try, because I take problems very serious, and we feel that's a part of the price that you pay when you buy a bag of Merschman Seeds. So overall, we had a lot of ups, and obviously we want to forget the downs that we had. But the good news is we all survived 2019, and we're ready for 2020. So, Turk, what do you think? What's your prediction for 2020?
I have several predictions, but one of the ones that I want to talk about is my prediction for 2020 will be that farmers will have the opportunity to sell $4.50 corn and $11 soybeans at some point throughout the year. We're in a market or a time of year where volatility is getting to be more and more, and the don't forget about your marketing in 2020, because the difference between the most profitable farmers and the farmers that are struggling in many cases is that marketing piece. So don't forget about marketing. Always be knowing what your markets are and take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves.
So, Turk, you remind us when those opportunities come up, okay?
I will.
Ben, do you have a prediction?
I believe that there is a new level of playing field when it comes to the price structure with corn and soybeans out in the market. And my prediction is going to be the biggest market share increases are going to come from seed companies that can operate under lower margins. And I believe Merschman Seeds is going to be one of those companies that continues to drive the price of soybeans down in the future, and being able to sell soybeans at reasonable cost and have an excellent yield opportunity for make margins greater for the farmers.
And maybe not even cost, just trust. I mean, how many people have we run into out in the field that just want somebody who they can trust, or who's not going to, take their money out of their rebates or overpromise and underdeliver? I mean, that's why a lot of people are really wanting to work with independents.
Well, that's going to be our 2020 mission, is to be as efficient as we possibly can and get our costs as low as we possibly can, so that we can pass that savings on to our customers. So we've started some things, and we'll be working on a lot of things in 2020 that will affect our 2021 prices. So that's one of the things I agree with you, Ben. Only the most efficient farmers, the best farmers, will survive, and it's going to be the same way for seed companies and chemical companies and everybody else in the supply chain. There's no room for fat anywhere because of the fact of the margins we have right now. We compete in a worldwide market, and so everybody's going to be working on cost control to be more efficient, and then plan for the worst and expect and hope for the best, and that's where Turk's prices come in, and that could be a very, very, very positive thing. Mm-hmm. So, what do you have for a prediction, Tommy?
I have three. Elite 27 approval. That's more of a hope. I think that's a product that we really need to get on board here with, and that's
the balance product for corn. That's going to be adapted to LLGT 27s, a Group 27 herbicide for LibertyLink GT 27s.
correct. Trump to stay in office. That's going to happen. 2020.
Now, is that short term or long term?
Long term.
Long term.
And number three was that Merschman Seeds is going to be really in 2020 is going to merge as a soybean leader. I think we're going to become the go-to as far as soybeans come, as far as the knowledge and the service, seed treatments, genetics, the whole gamut of you want productive return on your investment as far as a soybean crop. Merschman Seeds is going to be your company to work with.
That's one of the things we work on every year, and we'll definitely try to make that one happen.
2020 is our year.
Well, my prediction is going to be an early spring. Here we are in December, and I'll knock on wood when I say that, but we really haven't seen, at least in our part of the state, we've seen some snow, but it's kind of been cold, warm, and I think that cycle is going to continue throughout the winter. I know Christmas in this area was almost 65 degrees. I mean, people were outside with shorts and T-shirts on, and just thought it was wonderful. And of course, if you had to travel, it was great. But those traditionalists like to have a white Christmas. Well, that wasn't the case. But the bottom line is, I think we're in a cold, warm cycle, and it looks like we're going to continue. And if that continues, that means you better have your inputs in place. You better have your plans in place by April 1st. And then I know we've got customers, down towards Joplin, Missouri and whatnot, and it could be February for those guys. End of February, first part of March, they like to plant that early corn, and it could be, really early planting. So that's what I'm predicting. So we'll see how that all turns out.
You better get the product in the shed as quick as
you
you can.
Get your deliveries, get your orders in. These herbicide prices and everything are very competitive right now. They're not going to go lower. Take advantage of everything you can, lock it down, because if the Chinese purchase the $40 billion as predicted, this thing's going to turn upside down very quickly.
It has the potential.
Has potential. So we'll see how this all develops. Well, as we said last week, we were going to end our segments with a corny joke, just to kind of lift the mood and the spirits of our listeners and our farmers. And this one is about an elderly farmer who had an old bull that lost his usual desire and no longer wanted to be around the cows. So the farmer calls the vet and tells him the problem, and the vet prescribes a pill to stimulate the bull's interest. A few weeks later, the farmer ran into a friend, and the farmer says, "Well, how's your bull doing?" And the farmer said, "Great. The bull's back to his frisky self." And the friend said, "Well, that's fantastic. What miracle drug did the vet prescribe?" And the farmer says, "I don't know, but it tastes like licorice." Well,
That's good.
that's about as corny as we can get. We'll see you next week, in the beginning of 2020. And as always, thank you for your support. Thank you for your business. We wish that you and your families have a very prosperous 2020 and have good health. I mean, that's really important to have good health. And we'll see you next week.